For the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, Nigeria has been having challenges that are beckoning and waiting for answers and solutions. That is why we are bringing to you our program, State of the Nation. And this is going to come up on our flagship program this morning on ITV. I am hereby inviting you to join me, Bola Bakare, your host, on State of the Nation, so that we can hasten the motions that brings national development. It's going to be a regular basis on Tuesdays. Make it a date with me. I'll be there waiting for you, and then we shall discuss Nigeria on an holistic level. This morning we shall be dealing with a situation that is the bane of our livelihood, the bane of our existence, the bane of life in itself. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about leadership. In the house, if there's a good father, it is a happy house. And a good mother, it is a happy house. Those are the two leaders of the house. In an institution, if the CEO is good, the institution is good to go. In a school, if the principal is good and up and doing, it is good to go. And if it is a country with a good leadership, it will be good to go. But at the same time, there is always that element of sourcing for good leadership. How do you source for good leadership? How does good leadership evolve? That and a lot of other opinions and insightful insights we are going to share with my brother this morning, who is here with me in the studio, Dr. Chuba Keshi. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for doing this on a regular basis, because personally I like your insights, and from the feedback we get from our people, they like your insights too. And then don't shy away from it. Keep giving it to us on a regular basis.
Thank you.
Like I said in my opening, that for everything that works and works well, there has to be a leader, be it from the home front to the political level and to the government level. How do you look at this element of leadership? Let's get your first insights about the word leadership and what it entails in all ramifications.
Well, if you simply put,
go ahead.
Leadership is the capacity, to get people to do what they will normally do, whether you're there or not. That's some sort of leadership.
Irrespective of who's around.
Yes. Do what they ought to do.
Okay.
When you, the leader, is not there.
Okay.
Are not there.
Okay.
That is leadership. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Not when they do those things when you are there.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Maybe because you are the ruler.
Okay.
You are not the leader.
Okay. Because that gives me another insight into the definition of a leader in a political setting. In a political setting, I guess it is believed that you are my leader if I buy into your manifesto and I vote for you. If I vote for you, then you are my leader because I believe in your manifesto. If I don't vote for you, there's always that tendency politically that you're not my leader, really.
Not necessarily. There are two reasons people vote. Let's, in the context of this leadership.
Yes, okay.
I would say there are two reasons. One, when they have conviction.
Okay, about the person?
About the person or the manifesto, like you said, when they have conviction.
Okay.
Two, when you are coerced into voting. Not necessarily with a whip, maybe with carrots, and you vote. That is. So when you are doing that, you are not really voting for a leader. There's what we call legitimacy. Legitimacy is when you accept wholeheartedly a kind of program.
Okay.
In terms of whether by a leader or any kind of program. When you accept it, when you accept a government willingly, not because the government has authority, which is given to it by law.
Okay.
When you accept it on your own volition, without
without any coercion or whatever.
Coerced at all.
Okay. Then let us look at the situation. I don't know. Don't let us be far-fetched. Let's go local. there is need on a regular basis, not just for now, maybe yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There is need for leadership so that we can have the right development. How do we source for this leadership?
This is a very good question, and a question that resonates daily in our national discourse. You know, you go to beer parlors, even in churches and mosques, people are talking about leadership. You see, Nigeria has leadership problems in desperate proportions, if you like. You see, but the problem that leadership manifests is not the problem of leadership itself. Leadership problem is only a symptom of a more fundamental problem. You just said an example. When we started this program, you said that if the father is a good leader, the home will be good.
That's right.
If the father is a good leader, the home will be good. Now, the world is replete with examples. Even in the Bible, there are some people, some parents, you know, Prophet Samuel was one of them, who was a very good man, a very good leader, in quotes. He was a prophet, was well respected. You see, but his children were not compliant.
Like we said, where we were before we went on that commercial break was a question I threw at my brother here. And in simple terms, the question is, where do we source for leadership? Let me give you a reminder. You are running an inference into Prophet Samuel.
Yes. So I said, if you don't, in this case now, his children, you know, were the followers.
Okay.
If you don't put the followership is not together. Are you following?
I'm with you.
Leadership is ineffectual, you know, if you like. So the leadership will not work. Now, if you bring that one into the Nigerian situation, the problem of Nigeria is followership. Not
Are you
leadership.
sure?
Yes, leadership is a symptom of a more fundamental problem, like I just said.
Okay.
You see, why is it that bad leaders, in quotes, keep coming? We're not cursed with it. Nobody has cursed us with bad leadership. It's because the followership is tepid, the followership is
lethargic,
if you like. And then there is so much disorderliness within the rank and file of the followership. So that at the end of the day, after all, leaders come from followers.
They evolve, they emerge from the followers.
Every people get the leaders they deserve. So said Joseph de Maita and Torquoise de Valle. These are French philosophers.
So that's the first.
Every people get the leaders they deserve. They said in a democracy, that's Joseph. I said, no, all the time. People get the leaders they deserve. Because even in some places where there were no authoritarian governments, if the people didn't want leadership, they removed them.
Of course,
you know?
yes.
So
of course, yes.
It's not always in every democracy. Every time, every people get the leaders they deserve. So the problem with Nigeria is that of a disorderly followership. If the followership was kind of
proactive, so to speak.
If there was a spirit of the nation,
nationalism,
yes, among the followers, then they can stamp their feet. And why is it that, you know, in 1979, when riots started in Iran, the Shah sent the police against the people. Of course, they did their work. They tried to, but at the time, they joined the people against the Shah.
That's true.
That's what happened. You see, but in Nigeria, in 1993, you know, when there was this June 12th, we got so close to the people stamping their feet. But Abacha fired 2 shots and people ran away. You can see the difference.
Okay. Hey, in other words, are you calling us cowards? We're both Nigerians.
Yes, I am not. You see, I was arguing with somebody and I said that, I think it was George Orwell who said that when you vote foolish people or idiots to power, you are not a victim, you are an accomplice.
You're part of the system.
Yes, and the guy asked me, and I say, I'm chief accomplice.
Oh, yes. So you indicted yourself.
Yes, because I am here and people are in governance and I'm doing nothing. I'm an accomplice, no matter the way you look at it. Don't say you don't have the means. That is not where people,
you are reading my mind, brother. Yes, I was about asking you that. How do I go about it?
Where people are serious, you don't have to have the means. In Ukraine, they carry their legislators and dumped into dustbins. You know, it's not what happened in Russia when Boris Pugo, Ayanayev, you know, tried to remove They tried to go back to communism. They went and seized the Kremlin. But people marched on and chased them away. They had guns, they had tanks. Are you going to have more ammunition, arms and ammunition than the Soviet Union? No. But in spite of the weight of the Soviet power, people still came and chased them away. That is how leaders are made. It's not by standing and shouting. It's like somebody sitting and saying, my problem is malaria. If only I can recover. Meanwhile, you haven't gone to take the medicine to cure yourself for malaria. You keep shouting, hoping that one day you get
malaria
will. You don't go away. You don't go away.
That's true. That's a good one. But the thing is, I'm happy because you're trying to localize the situation as is by bringing it back home. That, okay, most of the problem, you are saying that most of the problem is the problem of followership.
Yes.
Because it is from the followership that the leaders evolved from. But if you look at our own case closely, our leaders have been leaders prior to getting to the position of leadership. Will you want to categorize that as being the leader evolving from the followership? Because the instances you cited in Russia was a case of leaders that were the people took it upon themselves to make sure these things happen. But there are in some places like ours, the people in question are already leaders in their own fields. I don't want to say which field, really, maybe one arm of whatever. They are leaders in itself. So it becomes a situation of it's either you dance or you don't dance. Where does that leave you as a follower?
Well, if you say they were leaders, what kind of leaders were they? Leaders in what form?
Okay, let's throw it back.
No, wait, let me...
On the political basis.
Yes. Let me... we won't have time if we begin to go back in history. You see, but you see, there's what we call culture.
Of course, yes.
Culture has antecedents. The quick example I can give is this. If Brazil is playing football today with whoever, the chances are that the first choice of who will likely win is Brazil. Not because Pele is still playing, but
because of the pedigree that they have.
Pedigree is there. If you take that into the leadership situation in Nigeria, you find that the first crop of leaders that emerged, apart from those who were ideological, people like Awolowo, Zik, Ahmadu Bello, and who had Aminu Kano, those who were ideological. Other people that came after them were not people
they didn't toe that line
of real material. I don't want to mention names, but I remember that Zik, when he wanted followers in the Midwest, where I come from, when he wanted followers in the Midwest, he resorted to kulaks, merchants and people who didn't really have the substance. You see, but that was what the British wanted. So they wanted people who didn't have capital. Not as if himself had capital, but at least he had ideology. Awolowo didn't have capital, he had ideology. He had ideology, People could have killed him behind them. So even those who claimed to be Awolowo's followers were doing that because Awolowo had clout.
Of course.
Not because, after all, even today, some of them have shown their true character. So, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that a crop of leaders that emerged were not leaders who had substance. So that has been the pedigree. So today, the same thing happens. If you look at our leadership today, tell me people who should really be there if it was a level playing field. A field where you bring your manifesto, where you bring your antecedents of what you have done in the past. And then, if you line up our leaders, how many of them will make it? You see, but they keep coming because that is where the system throws them up.
And that brings in that element of politics, which you said earlier, because politics is what churns out our leaders. From what you said earlier, that we have a problem that is mostly followership before it becomes a matter for the leadership. I will take it back a step by saying, okay, it is the followership that makes up the political parties that throws them at us. We have been able to identify the problem, so to speak. What do you think should be the solution? We can't be stagnant. We can't afford to be lethargic. We have to move forward. We have to develop. So what do you think we should do?
First, you talk about development. What is development? You see, I'm coming back to your question.
Yeah, I know. Give us. You can give us the meaning of development.
The topic is about leadership and
development in
for development.
Yes.
And if I don't try to define what development is now, we will not be able to put it in context
of leadership. That's true. That's true. Go ahead.
So, many people look at growth as development. No. You see, growth is just an kind of increase in goods and services. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's artifactual.
Okay.
You see artifacts, you see edifices, you see big smooth roads and all kinds of things. You see beautiful houses. That is growth.
From bungalow to high rise is growth.
That's
okay.
Literally. So that is growth. It's different from development.
Give us your insight about development.
Development is the capacity, a continual capacity for people to understand and conquer the environment and control it.
Capacity, in other words, capacity building?
No, not necessarily capacity. No. It's a cultural thing.
Okay.
The way you can understand it, simply, is quality of life.
Okay.
Because if your quality of life is good, that means you have been able to control your environment better. Is that not correct?
That's true. That's true.
That's true. You understand? So, but you look at it, we can't talk about good old days. Things were the kind of quality of life we had before. Do we really have them? Forget the fact that we have phones and we have all that. There was a time when if the local power, it wasn't full NEPA then.
ECM.
Whatever it was then.
It was ECM
before they took lights.
They will
inform you. Light will go by this time, and light will come by this time, and that happened. Are you following?
I'm aware. I was present.
Good. So does that happen now? So there's been a decreasing capacity for us to manage to control our environment. We have not been able to. Let me use this light for example.
Okay.
We've not been able to control that part of our environment. So, and if you look at it, generally, it's been difficult. Quality of education.
It's on the low ebb.
Quality of health, care delivery.
On the low ebb.
So these are indices of development. If your capacity to handle these things is decreasing, then you are underdeveloping. You are not developing. Forget about the presence of edifices, like I just said. These are indices of growth.
Not
but
development.
Growth is not development.
Okay, I'm understanding that.
So now, coming back to Nigeria, you see, our problem is peculiar. Why do I say so?
Because we're a peculiar people.
Nigeria is the only country under the earth where colonial masters deliberately pitched one ethnic group against the other. So if you're Yoruba, if you're Igbo, there's a mutual distrust.
Of course.
So that has happened. The British deliberately did that.
Shouldn't we have been able to get out of that after about how many years?
You didn't get my example of Brazil and football.
Okay, the pedigree.
It has become a culture, yes.
Yeah,
it's become a culture. And whenever something good is about to happen to the country, people who are not, the ethnic groups that are not benefiting, so to speak, or are not going to benefit from it,
throw that curve into it.
We throw it, and everything scatters. So as the population grows and value is not growing because of this kind of a thing.
Okay.
There's no leader to put that value. I say leader, yes, because that is what you see. But I'm saying that the problem is more fundamental. That leadership you're talking about is just a symptom of a more fundamental problem.
Okay.
So, as the population grows and value is not growing, the tendency is for there to be more struggle for resources. And then people become very vicious. People become, today now, my brother, I cannot go by road from here to Delta State. But before I could jump into my car, even at my age, I drive down. Happily.
At any time of the day.
Happily. But today, I cannot. Have I now been able to control my environment better? you see, my capacity is decreasing.
Okay.
So these are indices of underdevelopment, and these are the things that happen when this kind of a thing happens. When it becomes difficult, then impossible for you to bring about leaders of quality.
Okay. Okay. You have been able to you, our viewers out there, I would like to reiterate what Dr. Chuba Keshi has been able to lay across to us. Because there's one thing they say in English, there's that element of repetition for emphasis. We learn from ourselves. I have heard from him. He has been able to lay it across. There's a blatant, there's a band, a kind of low-key thing that, okay, the system is as good or as bad as the people want it to be. Virtually every one of us has heard that. But the factor is, what are you doing to effect that change? From our research, from our interviews, everywhere and anywhere, everybody is dissatisfied. Then what have you done about your dissatisfaction? What is it? What quota have you put into that element of dissatisfaction that you are complaining about? Dr. Chuba Keshi has told us in simple terms that we should not confuse growth with development. Development is defined in terms of the infrastructure that makes you live, the environment that gives you life in itself, that makes your life better. He ran me an inference, which I was alive then, I was a little boy then, of saying during the days of ECN, before they take power, they will inform you so that you would get set for that within those hours, and they will apologize, and then you wouldn't be bothered because you're sure at a specific period they will bring back the power. Like he said also, these days we have everything. You can talk to somebody anywhere on earth with a device like this. This is good, but at the same time, has this been able to give us the environment that allows for development? No. These days we don't even have power. These days most of other infrastructure are not there. Like he said, are we retrogressing or we are moving forward? He used the word for it. He said we are underdeveloped. A little wonder, the rest of the world calls us developing countries. Even at that, it is an insult. Developing countries over the years, with all the millions and billions that we've heard, it is high time that we do something important about that. Because life is a situation for all of us, and we should give it a thought. And like I was saying earlier about what Dr. Chuba Keshi has been able to deliver to us in terms of leadership, quality, and the panacea for development. He has been able to teach us and tell us, maybe share his opinion with us about what is the leader, what is the follower, and what we should expect. He has given us a definition for development, which most of us would not have thought of as being a way of life. But I would like to throw it back at him now that, Dr. Keshi, kindly give us, as your last word, what you think about the caption for the day which says leadership quality. That is the quality of leadership, and how we get the leadership. It is the only panacea for development. Let us have your last word on that, please.
Yes, quickly. To get good leadership, no matter how much we scream, the good leaders will not come. You see, but the best way to handle this problem now is, let me give an example with what happened in Russia. In 1917. The problem of Russia was that of feudalism, and the nobilities were all there and oppressing the people. But it still took a Russian, in the person of Lenin, and somebody from the nobility to change the system. So, in our own case, the main problem we have is that of ethnic distrust. So, but then that's let me say, not use this word ethnic now, regional. That the regional powers that we had, which the British deliberately created, one against the other, which is our problem. is what can even solve that problem. We have to return to those regions, where people had given power to. Power resided in the regions, not in the central government.
Okay.
So that, but in this case now, because every region has capacity, the north, the west, and the south, everybody has capacity. So now let us go back to the regions and let the regions now begin to healthily compete with themselves. If you see that Awolowo set a lot of pace, which was followed. Is it television? Is it university? Whatever. Is it a high-rise building? All those things. These were, and people, the East was quickly following, and there was a healthy competition. So that is the way to go. By the time you do that, the center becomes less attractive.
Of course, yes.
And then people will not kill themselves
to come
and use all these things they use. Not that there will not be ethnic problem. There's been ethnic problem
everywhere normally.
In fact, in that survey I was talking about, there was a ministry for nationalities taking care of ethnic problems. So there will be ethnic problems, but you see, it will be better managed.
Okay.
Because
it wouldn't be overriding.
If we continue like this, according to Sigmund Freud, man seeks pleasure and avoids pain.
Naturally, yes.
So people will take advantage of the situation and seek pleasure of looting and all that, and avoid pain of good governance. Good governance is tasking, so it's painful. So that is the way to go. If we don't do this, if we keep screaming that a good leader will emerge, the good leader will not come.
We will have to evolve.
Even when he or she comes, without the requisite followership, the leadership will collapse. We've seen things like that before, where some leaders in Nigeria appeared to be good. But what happened? After they fizzled out. So there is no place that good leadership succeeds without good followership.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That has been Dr. Chuba Keshi. He has been able to share his insights with us. And if you are listening and listen well, he has been able to tell us that we need to eschew something, and that is the element of our ethnic differences. We should forget them and come together as one. It is important for us to come together as one to achieve everything we want to achieve. It is the number one factor. Because on his last statement, he said, even when we have good leaders, the system around him corrupts him. And who is the system around him? You and I, the followers. For us to move ahead, for us to have the development we crave for us to have the leadership, we need to come together as one, as a Nigeria, without thinking in terms of ethnic background, religious background, or what have you. Let us think as one. Believe in Nigeria as one, and honestly, we will get a leader that will augur well for our development. My brother, I would like to say thank you for coming on this program.
Can I say one last thing?
Go ahead.
One last thing, please.
Okay.
You see, the national spirit, like I said before,
okay,
which is busy in Nigeria, good leaders don't impose the national spirit on the people. The people cultivate it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us.